That sentence should not exist. It violates every law my species has measured across 12 million cycles. A civilization that surrenders its future becomes extinct. Always. I believe that truth. I testified under oath before the Grand Council. I was wrong. My name cannot be translated into human sound. The closest form is Observer 7. I was not a soldier. I studied civilizations. I watched them rise. I watched them collapse. Patterns never lied. Until Earth. The Council summoned every known species. Even the oldest empires attended. The chamber floated above a dying star. Its light revealed every ambassador equally. No shadows. No secrets. That was the idea. Humans arrived last. Late. I concluded it was deliberate dominance behavior. Later I learned it was only because one delegate insisted on helping a maintenance drone repair a damaged lift. At the time, I considered that impossible. Why would a diplomat repair equipment? Surely it was hidden military surveillance. Humans always confused me. They smiled before negotiations. They thanked servants. They apologized to machines. I classified these as primitive religious rituals. No advanced species wasted emotional energy on tools. The council chair spoke first. Earth has exceeded acceptable military expansion. Every empire agreed. Human fleets had grown too quickly. Their colonies multiplied. Their industries consumed impossible amounts of metal. Statistically, they would become unstoppable within 2 centuries. The council never allowed such outcomes. Balance mattered more than freedom. That was civilization. The proposal seemed generous. Earth would dismantle 60% of its fleet. Shipyards would close. Weapons research would stop. In return, every neighboring empire guaranteed peace. A perfect exchange. At least, according to every mathematical model. The human representative listened quietly. She never interrupted. Another behavior I misunderstood. Silence among my people meant surrender. Among humans, silence meant something else. I could not identify what. The council waited. Finally she stood. She did not threaten anyone. She did not argue. She simply asked one question. If someone breaks this treaty, who stops them? The chamber became strangely quiet. The chair answered immediately. The council. She nodded once. Nothing more. I marked her expression as acceptance. Another mistake. The treaty passed. Every species celebrated. Trade routes expanded overnight. Military spending dropped. Markets soared. The council declared a new era. I published my report. Humans have accepted collective stability. It became my highest-rated prediction. For 43 days. On the 44th day, something happened. A mining colony vanished. Not human. Not allied. Independent. Every worker disappeared. No battle. No distress signal. Only empty machinery. The council blamed pirates. Humans sent rescue ships. Again, I misunderstood. I believed they wanted political influence. Instead, they searched without asking permission. That violated protocol. Council investigators complained. Humans ignored them. Primitive emotional behavior, I concluded. Another report. Another error. Then another colony disappeared. Then another. Different species. Different systems. Always the same. Empty stations. Cold reactors. No bodies. No survivors. Fear spread. The council held emergency sessions. Committees formed. Votes happened. Documents multiplied. Humans kept searching. They asked strange questions. Not who attacked. Not how many died. Instead, what changed before they vanished? An irrational question. The victims were gone. Changes no longer mattered. Humans disagreed. I watched their analysts examine food shipments, music broadcasts, weather satellites, children's drawings, pet registrations. Utter nonsense. No intelligent investigation worked like that. Yet they refused to stop. I concluded humans feared randomness. Perhaps collecting meaningless information comforted them. My confidence remained absolute. Then Earth recalled every ambassador, without explanation, including the woman from the council. Diplomatic channels went silent. Trade continued. Messages became shorter. Human fleets moved. Only slightly. The council noticed. No one worried. After all, the treaty existed. No species would risk violating it. That was the entire purpose. Then humanity did something impossible. Factories reopened. Officially. Shipyards restarted. Officially. Weapons laboratories activated. Officially. The council demanded explanations. Earth replied with exactly 12 words. We have detected a threat beyond your models. Preparation is no longer optional. The chamber laughed. Even I laughed. Threat detection required shared evidence. Humans provided none. Paranoia. Classic evolutionary stress response. My report stated exactly that. The species has entered irrational defensive escalation. Another mistake. Council sanctions followed. Economic penalties. Trade restrictions. Political isolation. Humans accepted everything. No protests. No negotiations. No appeals. Instead, production doubled. Every hour, new warships left orbital docks. Impossible numbers. Impossible speed. I inspected their manufacturing worlds personally. Assembly lines never stopped. Workers slept beside machines. Families delivered food directly to factories. Children painted symbols on armor plates. I concluded human offspring were being conditioned for war. Disturbing. Barbaric. One small child touched unfinished metal and whispered something. A translator caught it. Come back safe. I rejected the translation. Machines cannot return safely. Machines possess no survival value. The software insisted. Humans were speaking. To ships. Ridiculous. Weeks passed. Then sensors detected movement. Beyond mapped space. Not ships. Not stations. Something else. Massive. Silent. Approaching. Council scientists argued for days. Humans launched reconnaissance immediately. Without permission. Again. Always ignoring procedure. Only one vessel returned. Its captain never addressed politicians. Never attended hearings. Never accepted awards. Instead, the recording reached every government simultaneously. I watched it 81 times. Darkness. Stars disappearing. Entire constellations blinking out. Something enormous moved between them. No engine trails. No weapons. Just absence. The recording ended with one sentence. It's eating civilizations. The council dismissed it. Insufficient evidence. Panic prevention protocols activated. Broadcasts censored. Market stabilized. Everything appeared normal. Humans did not complain. They simply accelerated. 3 times faster. Their economy transformed overnight. Luxury vanished. Entertainment industries closed. Civilian factories became military facilities. Even restaurants reduced operation. I considered this societal collapse. Humans called it temporary. Impossible. No species voluntarily accepted hardship without civil war. Yet humans stood in endless lines without violence. They shared supplies. Worked longer. Complained constantly. Then returned to work anyway. Contradictory creatures. Nothing fit. Then I noticed the pattern. Every human asked the same question. Not, will we survive? Never that. Instead, what else needs doing? I failed to understand. Fear should reduce productivity. Fear should fracture society. Fear should create selfishness. Humans displayed the opposite. I assumed they were incapable of understanding danger. That assumption lasted until the first star went dark. The star did not explode. It simply disappeared. Light ended. Gravity twisted. Every telescope in known space confirmed the same impossible truth. A living sun had been erased. No debris. No radiation. Nothing. The council called another emergency session. I attended as chief observer. The chamber that once echoed with confidence now vibrated with quiet panic. No one admitted fear. Advanced species never admitted fear. Humans did not attend. Another insult, I concluded. Another primitive display of arrogance. Instead, they transmitted a single file. Star maps. Every disappearing colony. Every missing station. Every strange signal. Every vanished sun. Thousands of points connected by red lines. The pattern was unmistakable. It was not hunting planets. It was hunting routes. Trade routes. Migration routes. Escape routes. The thing was hurting us. Silence filled the chamber. No ambassador spoke. For the first time in recorded history, the council had no proposal. I expected humanity to demand leadership, power, authority. Instead, another message arrived. We're evacuating civilians. Help if you can. Nothing else. No accusations. No speeches. No celebration over being right. I found that deeply suspicious. Surely this was psychological warfare. No civilization ignored political advantage. Humans kept doing exactly that. The first refugee fleets arrived 2 days later. Millions. Different species. Old enemies. Historic rivals. Ancient predators. Ancient prey. Human transports accepted them all. No biological segregation. No genetic ranking. No payment. My calculations failed repeatedly. Feeding this many refugees would cripple Earth's economy. The humans expanded farms. Expanded hospitals. Expanded schools. Expanded shelters. Every prediction I made ended the same way. Economic collapse within 30 days. Instead, their production increased again. I visited one of their orbital stations. The corridors overflowed with frightened beings. Children cried. Adults stared into nothing. Human volunteers ran endlessly. No one carried weapons. Only food. Blankets. Medical kits. One exhausted human collapsed against a wall. I assumed he had reached physical failure. Another human handed him water. He stood again. He smiled. Then he continued working. No order had been given. No superior watched him. Why? My species required direct command to sustain labor under crisis. Humans obeyed invisible instructions. I searched for their source. There was none. Only choice. Impossible. A transport captain noticed me watching. You okay? The translator rendered the phrase perfectly. I answered honestly. I do not understand your command structure. He laughed. There isn't one here. Another obvious deception. Without hierarchy. Nothing functioned. Yet everything around me functioned. The hospital expanded before my eyes. Civilian engineers welded new corridors. Teachers organized classrooms. Mechanics repaired engines. Retired soldiers unloaded supplies. Children carried water. No central coordination. Only movement. Only purpose. I marked the event as mass behavioral instability. It was the only explanation that fit. Then the enemy arrived. Not one ship. Not a fleet. A wall. Black. Endless. Stretching farther than sensors could measure. Stars vanished behind it. Every signal entering the formation died instantly. No transmissions returned. The council demanded communication. Nothing answered. Then entire battle groups opened fire. Energy lances. Gravitic missiles. Antimatter spears. Enough firepower to sterilize continents. The darkness absorbed everything. No explosions. No damage. Only silence. Several ambassadors fainted. My own breathing sacs tightened. Physics had surrendered. The council ordered retreat. Thousands of warships turned. Too late. The darkness moved. Not quickly. Not dramatically. Simply. Closer. Every second. Closer. Then our fastest cruiser disappeared. No impact. No wreckage. One moment it existed. The next. Nothing. Crew. History. Records. Gone. The council dissolved into chaos. Orders contradicted orders. Fleets collided while retreating. Ancient allies abandoned each other. Every species protected itself. Exactly as history predicted. Except one. Human fleets accelerated forward. Forward. Directly toward extinction. Madness. Absolute madness. I screamed through every diplomatic channel. They are committing collective suicide. No human answered. Instead, I intercepted internal communications. Not battle cries. Not patriotic speeches. Simple logistics. Hospital Ship 9, change course. Refugee Convoy 4, you're clear. Fuel Tanker 7, stay behind the carriers. No hatred. No revenge. Only organization. Only protection. Then I finally understood the pattern. Every time humans faced disaster, they moved toward the weakest, not away. I rejected the conclusion immediately. Evolution did not permit such behavior. No intelligent predator sacrificed strength for vulnerability. Humans had to be malfunctioning. The darkness reached the first defensive line. Entire destroyers vanished. Cruisers vanished. Battleships vanished. No wreckage drifted. Even memories seemed thinner where they disappeared. Veteran commanders began forgetting the names of ships lost only minutes earlier. Reality itself felt damaged. The human line did not break. Carrier after carrier advanced. Small escort craft deliberately remained behind, covering civilian transports, knowing they could never escape. I opened a direct channel to one human captain. She appeared exhausted. Her uniform was stained with engine grease. Not ceremonial. Practical. Retreat, I told her. You cannot win. She looked away from the camera, watching tactical displays I could not see. Then she answered quietly. I know. No fear. No denial. Only certainty. Then why remain? She paused, as if the answer were too obvious to explain. Because they're still behind us. The transmission ended. I stared at the empty screen. They? Not Earth. Not humanity. Not citizens. Just they. Everyone behind us. Every species. Even those who had mocked them. Even those who had sanctioned them. Even those who had signed the treaty that now meant nothing. The humans fought for all of us anyway. I could no longer classify their behavior. No evolutionary model survived contact with humanity. Then the impossible became worse. Every treaty beacon across the galaxy activated at once. Not by the Council. By Earth. One signal echoed through every military network, every diplomatic archive, every civilian receiver. All interstellar treaties are hereby terminated. Civilian survival now overrides every political obligation. For one heartbeat, I believe humanity had abandoned civilization. Then their fleets scattered in every direction. Not to invade. Not to conquer. But to break every law that slowed rescue. And for the first time since I had met them, I realized humans had never obeyed treaties because they trusted them. They obeyed them only until survival demanded something greater. The treaties died in a single second. Chaos followed immediately. Trade laws vanished. Military borders vanished. Centuries of diplomacy vanished. I believed civilization had ended. I was wrong. Civilization had finally begun. Human fleets ignored every border. They entered forbidden systems. They seized abandoned shipyards. They emptied fuel reserves. Not for conquest. For evacuation. Every law they broke saved another convoy. Every accusation they accepted bought another hour. The Council called them traitors. The refugees called them rescuers. The darkness kept advancing. World after world disappeared. Entire histories vanished before anyone could record them. Even memory became fragile. I forgot the names of species I had studied for thousands of cycles. The enemy was not only consuming matter. It was consuming meaning. That realization terrified me more than death. If names disappeared, then identities would follow. Eventually. No one would remember that we had ever existed. Human scientists reached a different conclusion. Again, they asked the wrong question. Not, how do we destroy it? Instead, what is it feeding on? The answer arrived from the oldest human research station. The darkness was alive. Not biological. Not mechanical. It fed on probability. It survived by collapsing every possible future into one outcome. Extinction. Every civilization it touched stopped imagining tomorrow. Every choice narrowed. Every path ended. That was why stars vanished. That was why memories faded. It was eating the future itself. I dismissed the theory instantly. Nothing could consume possibility. Nothing. The humans began building something anyway. Not a weapon. Not a shield. A transmitter. The largest ever constructed. Moon-sized. Powered by every surviving fusion core Earth possessed. I assumed it was a final distress beacon. Primitive optimism. The Council demanded control of the project. Earth refused. The Council threatened sanctions. Several ambassadors actually mentioned legal procedure. Legal procedure. While reality itself was dying, humans disconnected the call. Construction continued. I finally traveled to Earth. I expected riots. Panic. Looting. Collapse. Instead, I found empty streets. Factories roared day and night. Schools remained open. Children still laughed. Families still ate together. People cried. Then they stood back up. I could not understand. A human historian found me watching. You've never seen hope before, have you? I have studied hope. He smiled sadly. No. You've studied victory. Hope is what survives after victory becomes impossible. I recorded those words. I still believed they were poetry. Humans, I thought, always had logic inside impossible sentences. The transmitter was finished. Every surviving fleet gathered around Earth. The darkness filled half the sky. Stars vanished every second. No army could stop it. No weapon had ever slowed it. The Council prepared its final evacuation. Earth prepared something else. The human representative, the same woman from the Council chamber, addressed every surviving civilization. No dramatic music. No heroic speech. Only one request. Remember tomorrow. I frowned. Meaningless. Tomorrow did not yet exist. The darkness advanced. The transmitter activated. Nothing happened. Then, every human on every channel closed their eyes. Billions. At once. Soldiers. Doctors. Children. Engineers. Farmers. Refugees. They all imagined something. Birthdays. Harvests. Cities not yet built. Songs not yet written. Faces not yet born. Dreams. Simple dreams. The transmitter amplified them. I laughed in disbelief. Dreams? Against that, the darkness touched the expanding signal. For the first time, it stopped. Every sensor froze. Every fleet fell silent. The black wall trembled. It recoiled. Not from energy, not from force, from possibility. Humans had discovered what it could never consume. Choice. Every human mind created countless futures. The transmitter merged billions of imaginations into an endless storm of possibilities. The creature tried to collapse them. There were too many. Every dream created another path. Every hope created another tomorrow. For the first time in its existence, the predator starved. It screamed. Not with sound. With absence. Entire sectors shook. Then the darkness fractured. Cracks spread across infinity. Stars returned. Light returned. Gravity steadied. The impossible began dying. But the transmitter was burning apart. It had never been designed to survive. Earth had known that. The woman remained on the command platform. She never moved. Engineers begged her to evacuate. She shook her head. If this stops, it starts feeding again. The reactor overloaded. The moon-sized machine became a second sun. The darkness collapsed into itself. Then, silence. No enemy. No signal. No transmitter. The platform was gone. So was she. Earth had won. At a cost it had calculated before the first bolt was tightened. The Council gathered one final time. This time, no throne stood above another. No species claimed superiority. No one spoke for several minutes. Then someone asked me to explain humanity. Once. I would have accepted proudly. Instead, I declined. I cannot. I have studied civilizations for my entire existence. I believed intelligence meant predicting behavior. I believed survival meant protecting your own future. I believed treaties created peace. Humans disproved every law I ever trusted. The council asked one final question. Were humans the strongest species? I looked toward the stars that still existed. No. They were simply the only species willing to give up tomorrow, so everyone else could have one. I often return to the chamber above the dying star. The old treaty table is still there. No one uses it. Its surface reflects the galaxies humanity saved. Sometimes I think about that impossible sentence that began everything. I understand it now.